Hi students, my name is Karen Reed. I'm library faculty at GCC and I'm the personal librarian to your Psychology 132 class. In this video, I will be talking to you about your small book club assignment, which will take place over the course of the entire semester. This assignment requires you to form a reading club of 3 to 5 students, no more than 5 students. All of you are going to agree on one book that you are going to read from a list of available titles, which you find on your library research guide. You're going to create a reading schedule for your group. Then, over the semester, your group is going to have 3 online book discussions. These are graded discussions. You are going to complete 4 evidence journals. And finally, at the end of the semester, you are going to create one group presentation to the class about your book. An optional element of the assignment is to submit a review on the Goodreads website. This is a book recommendation website where people can find out what other people are reading and kind of explore books, but that is optional. For honor students, there is an additional requirement. Each honor student will be writing a 2 to 3 page critical analysis of the book their group has chosen. So how is all of this going to happen? Well, in Canvas, you're going to have a number of class discussions. It's possible by now you've already had class discussion number 1, in which you introduced yourself to the class and kind of got to know your fellow students. In preparation for class discussion number 2, you're going to watch the library instructional videos. And congratulations, you're watching a library instruction video right now. In class discussion 2, you will have identified a book or a couple of books that you're interested in from the list of available titles. Now you're going to see what books other students in the class are interested in, and you're going to see where your interests line up. So through class discussion number 2, you're going to begin to form the members of your small book club. And your instructor is going to help you with this so everybody will be the member of a group. By class discussion 3, you will know which group you belong to, and all of the members will have agreed upon the book that they're going to read. And in class discussion 3, you will create a reading schedule. Now, you might get your book and read it over the course of a weekend and be done with the book in a couple of days. And that's great. However, you are going to be discussing this book over the course of the entire semester. So your reading schedule is kind of divvying the book up into smaller sections for discussion and for completion of your evidence journals. Your instructor and I recommend that you break the book into 4 sections. There are going to be 3 online book discussions, but 4 evidence journals do. So if you have 4 sections of your book, they will align with the 4 evidence journals. For your first virtual meeting, you are going to be talking about what happened in the book, who the characters are, and what cultural connections you're making. And that means the material that you're learning in class in Psychology 132, those concepts, you're going to see if they appear in your book, how they appear, and how you responded to them when you identified them. Now, some of you may have been part of a book club before, and some of you may have never done a book club. Your instructor and I have created some general questions to help you get started in your book club discussions. You will find these questions on the research guide, which I'm going to show you, and you are going to find them also in Canvas. So if you can't remember where they are, I would be happy to show you how to get there. You're also going to turn in your evidence journal, your first evidence journal, a few days after your book discussion group meeting, number 1. So what is an evidence journal? Well, I'm going to go into Canvas for your class. And in module, I think it's module number 5, you will find a link to the evidence journal. This is a blank journal that you are going to copy and fill out. As you're reading your book, you're going to look for interesting or important quotes. You're going to write those down on the left side of the evidence journal, as well as the page number on which those quotes appear. Then on the right side of the journal, you are going to record your response to when you read those things. Why did those quotes stand out to you? Why was this section of the book engaging, or why did it strike you? How did you connect to it? What questions came up in your mind? What feelings did you feel as you were reading these quotes? The second part of the evidence journal is to write a summary of the section that you read and discussed. You are going to say what happened, who it happened to, and on the right side of the page, again, you are going to record your response to that section. So on the left side, everything that happened. On the right side, how you felt, what you wondered, how you connected. And finally, this is the part most students struggle with the most, the cultural and psychological themes that you found in the section that you read. As your instructor is enlightening you about all of the different elements of cultural psychology, you are going to be looking for those elements or some of those elements in the book that you are reading. Ethnocentrism, for example, is a concept that you're going to learn about in this class. And if you see that a character in the book is behaving in an ethnocentric way, you will record that in this section of your evidence journal. And then you're going to record your response on the right side. So for example, if a character is experiencing an ethnocentric reaction, how did you feel about that? Did you feel the same way? Did you identify? Were you horrified? Did you recognize that you have similar feelings or that you have in the past? So your instructor and I have created supplemental materials for each of the books. And if you're struggling with making those cultural connections to material in the course, please reach out to your instructor or reach out to me, and we would be happy to kind of guide you through this section of the assignment. It is a really important section of the assignment. So then we are going to have, or you are going to have, 2 more virtual small book club discussion meetings. They're going to take place at the end of March and the end of April. And you will have corresponding evidence journals, evidence journal number 2 and number 3 for those sections. But remember, you're having 3 online book discussions, but 4 evidence journals. So there's going to be 1 more evidence journal due before the end of the semester. There will also be an ungraded discussion that's related to this. So it won't be a required discussion, but it's probably going to be really important for preparing your group presentation. And finally, we get to the group presentation. You are going to be presenting the book that your group read. Your instructor is going to provide you with a layout for what this presentation should look like, what elements it should contain. You're basically going to be telling your audience what the book was about, who the characters were, and what cultural connections you made in this book to the material you studied in Psychology 132. You want to assume that your audience has absolutely no prior knowledge of the book. So don't start talking about characters that your audience isn't going to know about. You need to explain who people are, what happened, and how it relates to cultural psychology. And try not to give spoilers. If you can avoid it, it might be unavoidable, I suppose, but if you can avoid spoilers, do avoid giving spoilers. Don't forget to turn in evidence journal number 4. But at this point, you will be done, and it will be the end of the semester, and you will turn in your online group presentation, and the honor students additionally will turn in their 2 to 3 page book analysis. So let me show you where we are going to find the title choices for this assignment. I'm looking at the library research guide that I created for your class. You can find this on the GCC Library webpage, and you can also find it in Canvas if you go into Library Resources. Once you are in there, you are going to see that there are tabs on the left. And if you go into a tab, there's different information in each section. For example, this section shows you how to find online articles in the GCC library databases. I want you to scroll down to the Spring 21 Book Club assignment title choices, and the book club assignment details and resources. If you go into the title choices, you are going to see about 14 different books that are available for you to choose from for this assignment. Some are fiction, so they're novels. Some are memoir. Some are nonfiction, like this is a true crime nonfiction book. And some are collections of short stories, which I find kind of fun. You can read the blurb about what the book is about. You can follow the link of the book to the GCC library catalog. You're probably going to have to invest in purchasing a copy of the book for the class since this takes place over the course of an entire semester. And a library book generally doesn't check out for that long. But if you go here, you're in the library record, and this book actually has an online book or an ebook that you can check out, or you can check out the physical book copy. Even though the GCC library is currently closed due to the pandemic, you can actually do curbside or doorside pickup of physical library materials. So any of these titles, you can click on it and it's going to connect you to that library record. Additionally, in your library research guide, I have given you public library links. So I have given you a connection to the ebook databases at Phoenix Public Library and Glendale Public Library, as well as their general website information. If you go into the assignment details and resources, you're going to see the Google slide that I've been using in this video. You're going to see the look of general reading club discussion questions to get you started. And you are going to see some information about writing book reviews. How do you write a successful book review? Additionally, you are going to see some examples of book reviews that you might look at, and you're going to see a link to Goodreads. There are so many titles that you can choose from for this assignment. I really want to encourage you to find something that you think you're going to enjoy. I have read almost all of the books on the title selection list, and I would be happy to tell you about any of the titles. In fact, in video number 2, I'm going to book talk some of the titles that I found especially interesting or enjoyable, and you don't have to choose one that I like. You want to choose one that interests you. We're going to talk more about book selection in video 2. All of these books are written for adults and have, some adult themes, violence, sexuality. There might be some instances of abuse. So if you have any question about the content or any concerns about what you might or might not be able to handle, you can reach out to me and you can reach out to your instructor, and we would be very happy to kind of guide you to something that you think is going to be best for you, and then get the members of your group to agree.